Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. February 5th, 2018, the Bring Out Your Dead edition. First up, a story from the FCPA Blog that former SNC-Lavalin chief has pled guilty in a bribery case. Former CEO Perry Dunham had pled guilty Friday to helping a public servant commit a breach of trust. His sentence was 20 months house arrest and 240 hours of community service. He had been set to go to trial this week, and he had 14 other charges against him dropped. There is still an outstanding trial of SNC-Lavalin, which is scheduled to go to trial at some point this year. The company has tried to settle with prosecutors, but they will not agree to a remediation agreement to resolve the fraud and corruption charges relating to the company's work in Libya. Next up, many will remember several years ago when $81 million was stolen from the Central Bank of Bangladesh through a series of wire transfer instructions to the SWIFT bank account through the SWIFT routing system to the U.S. Federal Reserve. The infiltrators gamed the system, working on weekends in both Bangladesh and United States. The money was transferred to a bank in the Philippines, and the Central Bank of Bangladesh has sued this bank in the Philippines. It's going to be a very interesting suit to see how immersed the Filipino bank was in this issue. In a very damning piece in the National Law Journal, it details how the Covington and Burling lawyer Peter Lichtenbaum lost the monitorship of ZTE for his remarks before the last election as a never-Trumper. This is in clear violation of the U.S. Supreme Court protection of contractors for political statements and free speech. Nevertheless, the Department of Concert literally scheduled his selection as a monitorship and pulled it after the press releases were written but before they were released. And finally, in a story that you might think was Wells Fargo, but actually was from a bank in Australia, it was that a royal commission appointed by the Australian government found that the country's banking and financial service industry has bilked Australian customers literally for years, and in many cases had charged people after they had died, not only for services they didn't need, or in, of course, Wells Fargo's case, false and fraudulent accounts, but they charged the dead. So no doubt channeling their inner Monty Python did not call for customers to bring out their dead because they didn't know or didn't want to know that the people had died so they could continue to charge them. Sometime art imitates life. This is Tom Fox. If you have any ideas for the Daily Compliance News, please feel free to email me at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. I'd love to hear from you. This is Tom Fox. I'm the Compliance Evangelist. As you may know, we've had several new offerings on the Compliance Podcast Network. One of those includes Popcorn and Compliance, where Jay Rosen and I take a look at compliance through the lens of movies, both current, contemporary movies, and classic movies. Also premiering in December. And finally, Mary Shirley and Lisa Fine have premiered their new podcast, Great Women on Compliance. I hope you will check that out. It's a great podcast series. We have several other offerings that we are in production and will go live after the first of the year on the Compliance Podcast Network.